The Championship relegation battle is heating up as we head into the most important weekend of the back end of this season. With 2 games in 4 days, lots of these teams' fate could be sealed or completely changed with 2 positive or negative results. But we're going to look at those teams down at the bottom and how they could fall either into the relegation threat or pull themselves well out of it. Now, obviously, we've seen over the course of recent weeks, the likes of Derby County pick up some really impressive form. Cardiff City and Luton Town have also had 4-game unbeaten runs for themselves. Now, obviously, you look at the likes of Oxford United and Stoke City, who have pulled themselves a little bit out of danger at the moment, currently finding themselves 5 or 6 points away from safety respectively. You can look at the bottom end of the league table here. We'll go from 15th down, as they are the teams, in my opinion, who could potentially fall into the trap over the course of this weekend. Now, obviously, if we look at a very important game across the course of this weekend, it's Derby County versus Luton Town. 2 relegation candidates facing up against each other at Pride Park Stadium. Now, if you have not done so already, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below to stay tuned for all of my latest Derby County content heading your way across the course of the end of this season and heading into next season with transfer profiles, news and player reviews all coming your way. Make sure you've got that notification bell on and hit that like button to stay tuned for all the latest. I am a Derby County fan, and I'm not going to lie about that. I think it's quite obvious if you look at the content on my channel, but I think this is a massive game for the relegation battle. And when you talk about 6-pointers, this is certainly one. If Luton Town are to lose and Cardiff City were to lose, they then fall 6 points away from Derby County, Luton Town would, and that would be a travesty for everybody involved at Luton Town. Now, obviously, the reason why this is such a massive game down at the bottom is because of how tight it is. You go from QPR to Cardiff City and there is 8 points between the 2 teams. And there's some very, very important games going on sort of within that bottom end battle. You look at Plymouth Argyle facing up against Middlesbrough. We've already mentioned Luton Town and Derby going head to head. Cardiff City face Sheffield United. Hull City face Swansea. Pompey face Norwich. Stoke City, Sheffield Wednesday. Oxford face Leeds, and Preston and QPR go head to head. Now, obviously, when we're looking at the bottom end of this table, there's a reason why this weekend is so important. Like, you look at the fixtures that are being played. On Friday, everybody plays, right? Then on Monday, everybody plays again in what's going to be a massive weekend of football. Now, for Derby County, they face Luton Town and then West Bromwich Albion. So it's massive for them that they pick up a victory at least versus Luton Town, so that heading into that West Brom game, there's not as much pressure on it, because it's a very, very difficult time to be down at the bottom of the division. Now, you look at some of the other teams down there in the bottom. Plymouth Argyle face up against Middlesbrough, and then they face up against the one and only Coventry City. So 2 really difficult games for them, which could see them completely gone out of this sort of conversation of championship survival. There is a possibility that this weekend, should Derby County win, if they win, it puts them 6 points clear if Plymouth lose, right? Coming out of West Brom, Plymouth Argyle and Luton Town could both be relegated from the Championship, leaving just 1 space available. There's also a possibility that Cardiff City could be gone as well. Currently sitting just 1 point behind Derby County, they face up against Sheffield United and then Oxford United. And there is possibility if Derby County win both, Cardiff City lose both, Cardiff City would also be gone heading into the final 2 games of the season, which would mean that Derby County would be safe. Now, we all know that the Championship ain't all sunshine and rainbows, and we all know that even as Derby County fans, as fans of any club down at the bottom of that division, you know that anybody can fall into this trap. Derby County went on a 4-game winning run and went from 7 points away from being safe to being 1 point clear at the current moment. Cardiff City, they had a really, really poor start, got themselves back into safety and have dropped back in. Luton Town have been poor all season, similar to that of Plymouth Argyle, but all of these teams down the bottom are very much in danger. A couple of wins for those teams down at the bottom brings the likes of Oxford, if they lose, Stoke, Portsmouth, Hull. Like, there's massive opportunities for those teams to sort of really fall back into it. Like, Hull City are only currently 3 points away from safety. You look at Pompey, they're only 4 points away from safety. Stoke is 5. Oxford is 6. Like, it's 2 wins. It's really not that much. It's not that big of a gap. Yes, down at the bottom, 2 wins is absolutely massive for every team in the division. But when you look at that down at the bottom, just one good run of form from Cardiff or Luton, and someone like Derby, like Hull, like Pompey could easily drop themselves back into that relegation places. And then you're sort of looking at the division and going, oh my God, just a couple of games ago, not even a couple of weeks ago, a couple of games ago, we were home and host, we were safe. You look at a team like QPR, who a couple of weeks ago were about 12 points clear of the relegation zone. That has now come down to 8. They've been on quite a poor run across the course of the last few weeks. Obviously picked up a win versus Oxford last week, and a draw as well in there as well. And it's one of those for me where this weekend, Easter weekend, is a massive weekend of football for the Championship. Obviously, Oxford face Leeds, Cardiff, Sheffield United, Hull City and Swansea go head-to-head, Stoke and Sheffield Wednesday. There's a massive opportunity here for Derby County, as that team in 21st place, to rise as high as 19th, right? But also to build a huge gap on those teams below them. And even Hull City could pick up a draw. Portsmouth could pick up a draw. Yes, Derby County wouldn't then go as high. I think they'd just go to 20th. But that could then potentially mean a multiple game where they've got to drop points, where they've got to lose essentially, and Cardiff have got to win to be able to change that down at the bottom. And this is why it is so big down at the bottom. You look at the final 4 games for Plymouth Argyle: Middlesbrough, Coventry, Preston and Leeds. Me personally, I think Plymouth are done. If they don't win against Middlesbrough, I think they're gone. Because I can't really see them picking anything up against Coventry or Leeds. And you look at those other teams around them, and I also think that Derby are going to pick up another win this season. I think Cardiff will probably pick up another win this season. So it's a really interesting battle down there at the bottom. I think it's massive this weekend that Plymouth pick up a victory at minimum against Middlesbrough, because if they don't, they could be falling well out of this relegation scrap and ending up already confirmed down to League One. Luton Town, Derby, Bristol City, Coventry and West Brom. Again, the only real game you look at there where Luton Town could get points potentially is that away trip to Derby County. Now, I'm not saying that Bristol City and Coventry will wipe the floor of Luton Town, but Coventry have been in some impressive form. Bristol City have been in some impressive form, both battling out for the playoff positions and then ending the season away at West Brom. It's going to be a difficult ask for that team down in the bottom. You look at Cardiff City, their final 4 games: Sheffield United, Oxford United, West Brom and Norwich. Now, the only good thing for them is I think West Brom and Norwich will have nothing to play for in those games, if I'm completely honest. And Oxford United are at that point now where they nearly pretty much have nothing to play for. Currently 6 points clear. Realistically, another point where Cardiff don't pick up a point and they're safe. So it's very interesting down there at the bottom. But obviously, if you look at like West Brom, they're currently 7th, 3 points away from Coventry City. Now, there is still that scrap going on for that final couple of places in the playoffs. But ultimately, I think that come this weekend, if Coventry City beat West Brom and Bristol City beat Sunderland, I think that sort of shuts the door on anybody else getting into that sort of that battle down there. Now, obviously, you then go on to Derby County. They've got, in my opinion, the easiest run: Luton Town, Hull City and Stoke. 3 games against 3 teams all around them in the division. There's obviously the West Brom away game in there as well. Now, for me, if Derby County get 4 points out of their 2 home games, I think they stay up. That's my personal opinion. I think we beat Luton, draw with Stoke. I think we stay in the division. Obviously, you've got those away games as well at the moment. So 4 points would put us on 47. So it is an interesting sort of battle down there at the bottom. And obviously, there is the possibility that someone like Cardiff or Luton or even Plymouth can pick up more than that. Now, Cardiff would have to pick up 9 points, if we pick up 7. Yeah, that'd be right. Luton Town would have to pick up 11. Plymouth would also have to pick up 11 because our goal difference is so good. It's worth an extra point, and we've got to make sure we keep hold of that heading into the final few games. Like, the best thing that we could do this weekend is win 3-4-0 versus Luton Town. I highly doubt that's going to happen, but that would be the best thing that could possibly happen. Now, you look at the fixtures for Hull City. If they beat Swansea, I think they're pretty much safe. But they then face Preston, Derby and then Portsmouth. So they've got quite a simple run down there at the bottom of the table. You've got Pompey, obviously they've got to face up against Norwich. They've got to face up against Watford, Sheffield Wednesday and Hull City. Like, realistically for me, I think, let's say Pompey and above right now are sorted. In my opinion, I think it's very close down there at the bottom, but I think Pompey and above are sorted. Obviously, Stoke City probably have the most difficult run-in with Sheffield Wednesday, Leeds, Sheffield United, and then Derby. So there is a possibility that Stoke may creep back into it. But I think, realistically, I think 47, maybe 48 points is going to be the survival this season. Obviously, this weekend, we could potentially see 2 teams gone. Yeah, this weekend, after Monday, we could see 2 teams gone, which is sort of the big problem with the Championship is if we get to Monday and 2 teams are gone, it completely changes the conversation of those down at the bottom, because then it's a mini league of, 4? Probably less, because if those 2 teams go, that means Derby have won, means Hull have won, means Pompey have won, means Stoke have won, Oxford have won, Cardiff have probably won. So it sort of opens up that massive discussion down there at the bottom of the Championship. Now, which 3 teams do I think are going to go down? And in my opinion, I do think it's going to be Cardiff, Luton and Plymouth. I do think it's going to stay that way. I think I had that in my predictions just a couple of weeks ago. And obviously I put Derby to go up to 18th place, which obviously might not happen now, but like there's one of those, it's a very difficult situation where I just can't see Derby and John Eustace allowing the likes of Cardiff, the likes of Luton and Plymouth Argyle to score that many more points. Like Plymouth Argyle, let me get my calculator up on my phone, for them to go above Derby, they've got to score 3 more points. So let's say Derby pick up 4 points in their last 4 games. That would put Derby on 47. That would put Derby on 47. So they'd have to get 7 plus 3. So they'd have to get 10 points across 4 games. I don't know why I'm using a calculator for this. That's like they've essentially got to get 2.5 points a game. They've essentially got to win 3 in a row at minimum. They'd essentially have to win every game. So realistically, if Derby get 4 points, then Plymouth and Luton essentially have to win every game. If they get 4 points over Cardiff would have to score 6, which would then mean they've got to win 2, lose 2 at minimum to get above Derby. So Derby have to win this weekend, in my opinion, and I think that could. Obviously, it then depends on results elsewhere, because then it's still going to be Derby will still have to. If Cardiff win, Derby will still have to win the next game. So it's difficult. It's very difficult down there at the bottom. But can I see Derby County getting outscored on points by those below them? Maybe not. Can I see someone like Hull City, Pompey or Stoke falling into the scrap? Kinda, a little bit, but obviously that all depends on the likes of Luton, Plymouth and Cardiff all picking up wins this weekend. So there's a massive question mark going on at the bottom end of this division at the moment. But who are going to be the ones to get relegated? If you have not done so already, let me know your thoughts down in the comments. Hit that subscribe button, turn on the notification bell, hit the like button as well. Let me know what teams you think are going to get relegated down below, and I'll catch you later on.